Hello students, in the previous video we finished up to the introduction of basic agricultural practices in the first chapter, and today I am going to explain all these basic practices in detail. But before we start today's discussion, today's topics, I hope you all have done the assignments of previous video. That was means like what is agriculture, what is crop, or what are Rabi and Kharif crops with examples, differences among them, and what are the basic agricultural practices. If still few of you are facing any problem while solving all these assignments, so I'll upload the answers of these questions at the end of today's video, and you will be able to get the answers of all the assignments of the previous video. So let's start today's topic with the first practice in the field of agriculture, that is for preparation of soil. Students, we all know that the seeds are going to germinate in the soil, and we also know this, that the upper surface of the soil becomes hard due to the exposure of sunlight and air. So our farmers make the soil loose so that the seeds can be sown in the soil. So the question arises here, what is plowing? Actually, the process of loosening and turning soil is known as plowing or tilling, and for this purpose farmers use a variety of tools. So the implements that are used for plowing purpose are plow, hoe and cultivator, in which plow and hoe are the traditional one, whereas the cultivator is the modern tool, in which the pointed, sharp, metallic downward blades are driven by tractor. So students, the question can be asked here, why do we need to plow the field? Actually, plowing has a variety of advantages, like plowing makes the soil loose so that the root and shoot part of the seedlings can easily penetrate the layers of soil and can grow well. Plowing also aerates the soil because loose soil contains a lot of air spaces and it helps the roots to breathe properly. It also helps to absorb water because the water holding capacity of loose soil is much more than the hard soil. Plowing also helps to mix fertilizers uniformly throughout the field so that each and every plant can absorb fertilizers or manures from the field. Plowing also helps in the growth of microbes or earthworms living in the soil, and we know that these are the decomposers which are going to make our soil fertile. Plowing also turns the layer of soil, means the lower soil, fertile soil, will comes up and the upper surface of the soil, upper layer of the soil will go down. So for these advantages of plowing, our farmers practice this before the sowing of seed. So students, the next step in the crop production is sowing of seeds. It is the most important part in the agriculture because it needs a lot of care and precaution. So students, here we will see what are the precautions that we must keep in our mind while sowing the seeds. We must be very careful about the selection of seed so that we can select only good, healthy and viable seed to achieve the better crop productivity. Our farmers generally use two very common methods for the selection of seeds, in which the first one is so common that you may have observed at your home too. Students, may you have observed your mother while soaking the gram seeds, and perhaps you have experienced that after the soaking of seeds in water, few of the seeds are going to float at the surface of water while most of the seeds are settled at the bottom. So the seeds which are settled at the bottom, they are of good quality, and the seeds which are floating at the surface, they are the damaged one eaten by insects, and that's why they are floating at the water surface. The next method of selection of seed is very common in the cultivation of paddy crop. In this method, the farmers initially grow all the seedlings in a small area that is called as nursery. After few days, they will select the good one and the healthy one from the nursery, and then they are going to transfer these seedlings into the main field. So the transfer of seedlings from the nursery to the main field is known as transplanting. So the next precaution is what? The depth at which the seeds are going to be sown. We must be very aware about the moderate depth at which seeds must be sown. Neither too deep in the soil nor at the surface of soil. If the seeds will be sown at the surface of soil, they may be eaten by birds or damaged by animals. And if the seeds will be sown deep inside the soil, they may not get suitable sunlight and air, and they will not grow well. So the seeds must be sown at the moderate depth. So the last one is what? The distance between the seeds must be moderate so to avoid overcrowding. If the seeds will be grown close together, they will not able to absorb sunlight, nutrients, and they will not be able to grow sufficiently. So the distance must be moderate while sowing the seeds. When we are talking about the methods of sowing of seeds, there are two methods. Traditionally, by the hands, farmers are growing the seeds, sowing the seeds inside the soil, and this method is known as broadcasting, while nowadays this sowing of seeds is done with the help of a machine that is known as seed drills. So students, in agriculture, if we are going to sow the seeds, it's our duty to provide all the nutrients to the seedlings so that they can grow their body parts well. So the next step in the agriculture is adding manures and fertilizers in the field. So the question arises here, what are manures and fertilizers? Actually, manures are natural organic substances obtained by the decomposition of cattle dung, human waste, and plant residue. Remember, manures are purely derived from the body of living beings. Here it is written organic substances. It means the substances that can be derived only from the body of living beings. But these manures are what? Decomposed part of the living's body. Whereas fertilizer is inorganic substance or an organic composition prepared in factories by human beings. So basically fertilizer is what? Inorganic substance, whereas manure is what? Organic substance. A lot of differences are given in your book of manures and fertilizers. Like manures, since they are made up of living's body, so they are not going to pollute our environment or soil. But fertilizers, whenever they are provided in the field, they are going to create pollution in the soil. Then when we are talking about the manures, since it is again made up of organic substances, So it is going to provide texture to the soil. Perhaps you have read in the SS social studies that soil is made up of inorganic as well as organic matter. So whenever the farmers are going to add manures, it improves the soil texture. But fertilizers never improves the soil texture. Then when we are going to see the importance of fertilizers, fertilizers are soluble in water, but manures are not soluble in water. So whenever the fertilizers are provided into the field, the plants are going to absorb them easily, but the manures are not absorbed by the plants easily. So I hope you have understood all the 3 basic agricultural practices today, and for today we are going to conclude here. I will provide you some assignment at the end of video, and I hope you will be able to solve all the questions based on the today's discussion. So thank you all. Thank you for watching me. Stay home, stay safe.